Hey guys, Kat Abianic here. Thank you so much for joining me. You guys are amazing. So I'm still just in housekeeping and we've just logged on 7 p.m. AEST. I'm just going to jump over and see. For joining me. You guys are amazing. That was loud. I'm just making sure. Hey Tracy, just making sure I can see you guys and read your live chat as well. So can you just comment below if you can hear me right now? Yes, Michaela, you should be hearing me speak. Just going to see if there's any issues as to why it wouldn't. Let's go. So I should also have the Hangout. See this business. Yep, you can hear me loud and clear. Yay, amazing. Okay. Tick, done. Hey Capri, hey Layla, Andrea, Kristen, Megan, Scott and Sarah. I'd say that'd be Sarah. Hey Tanya. Megan Ahern's as well, Kelly, Kristen. Hey, all you guys, Shannon, Jody, Lee. You guys are awesome. Okay, so not the best picture. No, it's not going to be, Jane. So this is actually fairly cash and I'll be walking around and also consuming some light caffeine. I just need to make sure there's lots of reception and I just want you guys to know this is not a talking heads webinar where you're getting a lecture. For 2.5 hours, I'll just pop down here and let me know if the quality is better. I'll have to walk around a lot because obviously it's quite a long session. So you'll see me doing a bit of that. So here we go. Housekeeping. All the way to the top. So this webinar is being run in a series of Pomodoros. So the Pomodoros are 25 minutes each. And I'm using this as a lovely opportunity to talk to you about one of my little time-saving hacks, and it helps me with my productivity as well. So what the Pomodoro technique is, just for anyone that doesn't know, it helps you get through distractions and get things done because you can pay attention in short bursts. So they're 25 minutes long. After every 25 minutes, you have a break, a full 5-minute break. During that break time, I'll be turning the video off, so there's no distractions. Step away from your computer, grab a drink, go to the loo, sit there and review your notes, but don't look at the screen. During that 25 minutes, that part is really important. So some of our modules will run short. There's a Q&A after each one. I don't want you guys to feel like you need to stay within a certain time frame in the Q&A. The webinar I've planned is actually only about 1.5 hours. So you guys can fill up to an hour with questions that I can answer in real time. This is the real advantage of having this live, and it's private. You guys can ask as many questions as you want, and virtually every question hopefully will be covered, or you'll be directed off to a resource. And this is great feedback for me. As I mentioned when I started the webinar, this will be transcribed and a lot of it will be turned into notes for the book I'm about to write. So it's all gone. So during those times, as I said, the video will be turned off to reduce distractions in the room. And what else do I need to cover there? So yeah, it's not talking heads. It's talking, discussing, growth, action, implementing, reviewing, discussing, and most of all, planning. This is during this time. So I do want you to actively comment and have a discussion in the live stream chat, and I'll keep an eye on that too. I want to keep it quite slow and low key. We're not rushing through, and this isn't an information dump because I'm transcribing to get a book written. It's certainly not what it's about. Hey, Helen. Hey, going. Hey, Callie. Turn a light on. Love you, Callie. Get some lights on in here. It's a good thing about laptops. You're quite portable. There we go. I've actually lost my Google Hangout screen, which is interesting. I'm terrible at that sort of business, but it'll pop back when I need it, I'm sure. Back to it. Okay, so I'm just going to overview our chapters again. Chapter 1 is mindset. So what we're talking through is ways you can announce, or in my case, re-announce your doTERRA business to your tribe. Different ways you can tell the story of your why and share that with the world. Hey, Jenny Rose. And then we'll have a Q&A break. And any blockers that you've got or any mindset issues that you've had come up for you, drop them below. And, you know, I obviously see a lot of content in the group. I see a lot of other people's blockers, and there's people in here who have done the same. And I have no doubt that there'll be comments coming back and forth on the thread, and we can openly discuss it in here and work through that as well. So this goes by this entire webinar will go by the Chatham House rules, if you guys are aware of those. So I just want you, when you are sharing, bear in mind what you share. So the Chatham House rule is a rule or principle according to which information disclosed during this event can be talked about by others that come, but the source of that information or any information you give can't be explicitly or implicitly identified. So it's just based on a building in London that does international affairs. It's a great rule to use for live webinars, and it's actually a really good rule for you to implement the Chatham House rule in your own groups, because it provides a guideline around how you can information share between your team and other people, or between team members. Just establish that before you have the conversation that, yeah, it's something I'd love to refer to later, but I don't, you know, everybody in here knows that they're not going to be identified. And in fact, under Chatham House rule, you don't mention anything that may identify other people in any way down the track. So that is part of our housekeeping also. And we are going to turn our Pomodoro on. So this is our first 25 minute spell. And what we're going through, excellent. What we're going through first is chapter 1, mindset. So in here, I do want to share a lot of resources with you as well, because everybody will pick and choose through what will resonate with them, but there is a lot of follow-up you can do that kind of expands on these topics further. So when we talk about mindset, obviously most people, for the most part, I mean, even though my mum has done Tupperware, she's done Avon, she, you know, built a successful passive side income in her spare time using network marketing. Most people don't ever think that they will go into a network marketing business, let alone actively build it for financial success. And I can see multiple people on this webinar who have achieved their idea of financial freedom, and now they're building because they love the community, because they're wanting further growth and they're going to the next level. And a lot of people who are building towards where they want to be as well. So everybody here has come over, you know, overcome a lot of mindset stuff already. And the main three that I always talk about, we'll actually talk about further on down there in telling stories, but it's fear of being seen, fear of haters, and fear of being perceived as an expert is a big one again. So I just want to talk about the difference between creating and documenting. So people feel the pressure when they decide that they're going to build a business. Doesn't matter if it's doTERRA or someone else, somewhere else. They really do feel the pressure to educate and support and create fresh content and show new ways and new methods and be innovative and be cutting edge. But there's a lot of value to be had in simply documenting your journey as you start with the oils, or as you move towards where you want to be in whatever, you know, whatever place you want to be and wherever you want to build other people to. So for example, the difference between me creating is just suddenly going, hey guys, I'm doing doTERRA, so if you'd like to attend a webinar and I can teach you XYZ, click here. It's really new to people. A really amazing way to do it is what a lot of people have done, is by announcing their doTERRA business to their tribe and asking people to join them along the way in XYZ toward a certain goal. So, I mean, when you did come into doTERRA, for a lot of you who were enrolled at a workshop or online, you actually would have goal set for yourself, those 3 things that you were wanting to improve, whether it's your health, natural cleaning, products in the home, improving your, you know, having emotional support, sleep, anxiety. You're actually, it really is something that I'm still working towards. I'm working towards assisting my son with his speech and supporting him using oils, supporting my daughter with her anxiety, supporting myself with my sleep. So, you know, by documenting what you do in the day-to-day rather than creating educational content, it starts to shift you from needing to feel like you have to be an expert to just come along for the journey. Have a look at what I do. It's not really big, it's not really life-shattering, but it's fun. And I enjoy it, and you might enjoy it too, and you might want to try it. Yeah, that's exactly right. Kristen said that started with finding a way to help her son with ASD fall asleep. And, you know, mine was similar, wanting to support my son's breathing because he was an oxygen baby. And that was a real journey for us at the time. So with how to announce your doTERRA business to your tribe, there's one resource that I think is quite powerful is by one of our newest presidential diamonds, who's Alice Nichols. And she has a podcast, which she's not very active on at the moment. It's called All Rise Up. So it is on iTunes. And the first one that I listened to when I found her online was absolutely a kick in the ass. It was really good. And I'm going to give you the name of it, which is probably one of the only resource links I hadn't saved, because I don't think I should reinvent the wheel, but I will find it. It's number one on her podcast list, and it's called To Thine Own Self Be True. So it's quite short. It's basically about, you know, how she announced her doTERRA journey unapologetically, and it really resonated. It is fantastic, Michaela. It really resonated with me because I was very apologetic when I started to share posts. I felt like I was asking for things from people, talking about the oils and enrolling. But something Jessie Reimers always says is, imagine if the person who enrolled her hadn't approached her to share oils and supported her. Like, she would be pretty annoyed. And so a post I saw in my Facebook group the other day, which I absolutely loved, and I wish I'd written down the name of who said it, it wasn't in my group, actually, it was in a leaders group, but you never know when showing up means that you'll be enrolling the next Jessie Reimers. You just don't know. Or someone else who's going to successfully build an online business, or just someone else whose life you can change. So when it comes to mindset on it, tapping is really important as well. EFT tapping, if that's something that you already do or you haven't tried, it's a really good thing to incorporate into your routine, even around simple ones like showing up online, fear of haters. There's actually an EFT video by Brad Yates for pretty much anything you can think of. Obviously, Brad Yates and Jessie Reimers have a course together, but there are a lot of free resources on YouTube on Brad Yates' channel, which is pretty much exactly what you need. So as far as how more is coming from Alice very soon, Kelly says, that's fantastic. She'll be back doing her podcasts. So as far as how you announce it to your tribe, do it with a big bang, you know. And I did it. In the end, I redid it. So I have a Facebook page with 24,000 followers, and I was always quite hesitant to share oils because the Facebook page is belongs to my son, who's 4.5 and has Down syndrome. And I always just felt, oh, it's a business opportunity, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, I'm building an essential oils business. I'm not selling a business opportunity. I'm sharing oils into people's lives whose lives can be changed as much as mine have been by the support the oils have given my son with special needs, by my daughter with anxiety, by me with ADHD. And for me, sharing that should feel genuine because I'm genuine about it, and I'm not there to sell. I'm there to show and share and support and do what I need to do. So while, yes, I re-announced and I did an apology, I actually said, I'm sorry it took me so long to share essential oils with you. I should have done it sooner because they've been so life-changing for myself and my family. And I wrote that on top of a post I wrote where I offered to send people samples out if they didn't already have a doTERRA account and they hadn't received samples before. And I ended up qualifying 88 people to ship them out samples, which are going out next week, which is pretty incredible, really, from one post. So showing up, I mean, while it may not be a Facebook page with that many followers, and it might not be, that amount of samples. It only took one message and one post for, one set of samples to enroll Jessie Reimers into doTERRA. So it's about consistently having that mindset where you are sharing, and you're sharing. Not everybody does do samples, and there are definitely different ways to build the business, but whether or not you're sharing your journey with the oils, you're sharing the physical samples, you're sharing a business opportunity, it really is about that mindset of when you're showing up on social media, it's not an ask post to be adding value and documenting your journey and adding a call to action. You're not asking for the world. You're just showing up and providing information. So, and there's actually nothing to stop you re-announcing on your page every month that you have a doTERRA business and re-establishing your why. It's super, super common in social media to do that fairly regularly because people forget why they're there and why they follow you. They know you, they've got that consistency that you're appearing in their newsfeed, but they may not know what you're focusing on at the moment. And they may not know that you're specializing in supporting people who are recovering from adrenal fatigue, or that you're specializing in supporting pregnant mums in making sure that they're staying safe in their oils usage and directing them to resources, or for children with special needs, or how to use oils in your home to eliminate toxins. Whatever you're focusing on at that time and building and writing your content around, or wherever that shift takes you, show up again and re-announce your doTERRA business to your tribe and tell them what your focus is, because your audience. So Jodie's asked, is this on your private personal page or your doTERRA page? This is just on social media. So wherever you choose to share, I don't share doTERRA posts directly on my private page. I just hit share from my page post. And that way there's like one source of truth that I share into groups and all that sort of thing. But we'll talk through that in the funnel shortly. So that's our part about mindset. And like, I do recommend obviously Alice Nichols, listening to that one podcast because it's pretty amazing. And Brad Yates is the second resource that I know you guys all know about, but I just wanted you to know there are very specific tapping videos for our mindset around showing up online using social media. So there's fear of haters, there's fear of being seen, fear of showing up, attracting abundance, all those. Pick through and have a read. And if you're wanting to tell a story somewhere and you're not sure how to structure it, my flow to get me showing up in the right mindset to talk about my business or oils more openly and in a way that I want to, I structure it a little like this. So I call a friend who's really used to me. They'll listen for a while, and I just kind of talk through what I wanted to share with them. And I tell them about how I've used the oil, what my experience was like, how it felt, or the really exciting business opportunity that came up as a result of me being in doTERRA, or the event I've been given the opportunity to go to, or an exciting thing that happened within my community or my team or my tribe that I just wouldn't have had if I wasn't a wellness advocate. And I talk it through and I see which bits still excite me. So there's kind of one iteration of that. So I call a friend and I talk it out. And then I kind of sit on it and stew, and I try and always do it in the same day. And if you guys do something similar, drop this in comments as well so I can read it out and we can keep talking about it, because it can be a process to get an idea from your head into the right mindset and frame to post it on your page and do these little re-announcements of documenting where you're at in your story as well. So I call a friend. You can type it out if that's something you like. I don't like to, because honestly my keyboard's broken at the moment and it's killing me. The other thing you can do as well is live stream it into your group. So into a private group or a smaller place, you can live stream it, or you can pre-record it as a video and then watch it back and then see what still resonates before you go and write a post on that topic and how you're going to do a little announcement or talk about it, just so you've really refined it. Because I find a lot of the mindset stuff is actually, a small portion of it can be genuine. you know, like you feel like, oh, I don't really want to do that because of X, Y, Z. Well, what's the worst outcome of X, Y, Z? If it's really bad, don't do it. And think it through logically. You don't need to push through every single bit of fear and mental blocker to take action. Like, honor your emotions and your feelings while working it through multiple times in a logical manner for what's legitimate and what actually could be you breaching your own personal boundary that you don't want to breach. Because that's not fear of being seen or fear of haters. You just genuinely may be oversharing and perhaps breaching a friend's confidentiality or talking too much about a child when you're not comfortable with sharing that much. There's so many that can come out of that, and you don't always have to push your mindset to a point where you're blur onto the page and then you're cringing at traffic lights when you remember that live stream and what you said because you were in heightened emotion when you did it. That's not mindset work. Mindset work is really structured and looking at things logically, creating a little bit of them, going as far as your boundaries go. It basically goes, would I be comfortable if somebody else did that and my name was in there? Or would I be identifiable from that? Or would I be comfortable with X, Y, Z? If you would be, it generally is okay to share because it's not breaching your boundary, if it's not breaching if it's not breaching human rights, if it's not offensive, if it's not insulting. Really think that through in a logical way, and you'll start to identify, this is a huge process I had, you'll start to identify the difference between just being scared of being published, of like publishing that because it feels funny to me to share because there's a whole lot of stuff with Brené Brown around, you know, shame and boundaries and showing up and actually being in the arena and growing as a person. That's one thing, but still moderate yourself in a logical way. So that's enough on the topic. So we'll go to Q&A just quickly on that, and we're halfway through this Pomodoro now. After we have our Q&A, we're going to talk about, what are we up to? Ways to tell the story of your why before we have our Pomodoro break. So Michaela said, I'm not sure I think enough. Inspiration comes and I tend to splurge it out with no framework. That's pretty cool. Michaela, if you've got really firm boundaries and you're comfortable with why you're showing up and how much you want to share and all that sort of thing, you actually don't need a whole lot of framework. And we'll break that more down in a habits section. Obviously content calendars work very well when you're structured and you're someone who thrives on knowing what's happening and routine. I don't. I have ADHD. I thrive on habit. And habit is super important to me in creating triggers and events and literal post-its and reminders in my email popping up, telling me to do tasks at a certain time that I can either do or I can click a couple of buttons and delay if that's how I am at that moment and I'm choosing to do something else. So when inspiration comes, there's nothing wrong with, for example, live streaming it directly onto your private profile, locked to private, the video locked to private as well, and just saving it. So you can actually download videos from Facebook anywhere and upload them again onto your Facebook page. There's two ways. So you can open the video and hit play on it when it's open in Chrome, and then you change in the URL, take out the www and just put an M, and then refresh it, play the video, and then right-click it and download video onto your desktop. So that's the first way you can do it if you decide to privately live stream it to yourself instead, in case you think you're going to blur too much. The other one is just download a Chrome plugin that will download the videos for you, which you can just Google that and it'll come up. Bryony, Wing It is my middle name. Love you, Bryony. I'm exactly the same. Structure is good. Structure does need to happen as far as if you know what content you need to create for your downline or your tribe or your community. You do need to goal set to have that structure created at some point, but you certainly don't need to commit to. I know a lot of people do time blocking where they do 2 hours at a time. This is my content. This is me creating my email sequences. This is me planning X, Y, Z. I can't do that. I really can't. So Andrea said, I'm dead set afraid of being seen. I really like the way to think of it as just documenting my journey instead of feeling like I'm pretending to be an expert. Yeah, so Andrea, something that you want to pay special interest to because you're going to very much enjoy is that we have a module in chapter 3, which is just over halfway through this. It's about telling your story. And there's a couple of really common marketing storytelling techniques that get amazing results when you implement them in your business. So a lot of people do this by accident because they don't realize. They're just natural storytelling techniques that marketers have put a name on. They're called Hero's Journey and Common Cause, are two of the most popular. And I'm going to link to some resources as well that kind of outlines how to tell a story and document rather than create, and tell stories as you go through rather than simply reading. So for example, even with this webinar or book, as it will end up being, I can't educate you and link drop and tell you why you need to tell the story of your why, you know, tell you, call a friend, type it out, live stream it, private, do it on your profile, because that's really boring. Like, it's incredibly dry. The way I'm keeping you guys engaged is by breaking the content up to short pieces, because that's what's effective for people's attention span. So on social media, you want videos to be between ideally 90 seconds and 3 minutes. A webinar, if it's going to be a long one, you want to break it up into half-hour segments wherever you can. But storytelling is so important. You know, when I share little snippets as I go, even when I establish rules, I tell you about Chatham House rule and why it works so well. And, you know, when you're doing that and you can share other people's stories or share experiences, you move from educating to just being a storyteller, and you do get better and better at it. So Helen said, yeah, actually, I love your random Facebook lives on the side of the road, Helen. They're pretty gold. Helen said, often I feel like I assume everyone knows I do doTERRA, so therefore would just ask me if they wanted some oils. Some do, but I guess many might not know still, and I could address that like you did. Yeah, it's really important to still show up and ask, explain who you are and where you're on track, and keep asking. I'm just going to check in to make sure nobody's bought a ticket that hasn't gotten it. Nope. Excellent. Keep asking. So we'll break this down a little bit more soon, but definitely keep showing up with the basics. You can't expect everyone to come in at a certain point of your journey and know your whole backstory. Helen, so for some background, Helen O'Grady did doTERRA long before me. And it wasn't until I'd actually enrolled in doTERRA through a friend of mine, Jessie Reimers, and gotten all the groups, I realised she was actually a doTERRA leader who had been building a business for quite some time. I didn't realise that before. So I'm friends with her on Facebook. I don't think I followed her social media. Not that I'm saying, I've known Jessie a very long time, so it's highly unlikely I would have enrolled through anyone else. But even from, you know, my personal experience with seeing your social media, Helen, I certainly knew that you did doTERRA. I probably maybe saw enrollment posts and flicked past them because it was never on my radar at any particular time. But when you can reestablish why you're doing it and tell those stories and do a call to action to people, they're on the same track as you with you know, where your mindset's at, and they're a little bit more invested in your story as well. So Bryony has said, Helen, we're going to get to that about spamming. I'm going through an order, but you wait, don't go anywhere. To what extent should we structure our content? I'll just live stream if something comes up and resonates with me. Is there any advantage in having themes for the week or a monthly structure? Bryony, there is no right or wrong answer to that. Content calendars work incredibly well for so many people who use social media. They really do. Themes for the week can be incredible. Daily things can be incredible. So can monthly. At the end of the day, if it works for you and you're in the habit of doing it, keep doing it. If whatever you're doing, you're not showing up and doing the work, you need to change it and attempt to establish a new habit which is on par with who you are and how you live your life, what your lifestyle's like, where you show up every day. So there's no right or wrong answer to structuring your content, and you need to know that when you get told don't ever have a content calendar because it kills your creativity, or You get told, make sure you have a content calendar because otherwise you're missing opportunities. None of those are right and none of those are wrong. It's exactly like when you build, people say there's no right or wrong decision when it comes to building a downline. The solution to everything is keeping on enrolling. It's exactly the same when it comes to structuring your social media content, because you're building a personal brand and you're the expert at you. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Just show up. Just show up in whatever habit you have. If it's not working, develop a new habit and place that to one side and move on. So we'll look at that further on down the track too. But I definitely want you to turn that around, and instead of is it good or is it bad, think, have I tried it? Did it work for me? Can I change it? Should I move on and attempt another method? So I'm not just doing lives, and I know it's an upper limit, and I just find it clunky because I've got my kids with me pretty much all the time and I'm worried about how it translates. So Parker jumps on with live streams with me all the time, and he's bloody feral. If you guys have seen my Play-Doh live streams, he is shouting at me. He's laughing his head off at me. If it works, it works. I am comfortable with Parky being rambunctious and boisterous and getting in the way, and I'm used to him attempting to talk over me. He has limited speech. He's slow to mature with that. He's got speech apraxia and Down syndrome. I can handle and manage him and his interactions and back and forth, so it doesn't stress me out, and that translates well on camera because we can have little back and forths that are still acceptable, and it's clear that I'm not stressed or worried, therefore other people aren't. If you're worried about your children's behaviour, if it's putting you off and distracting you and you're not documenting or adding value or creating, you're just managing your kids' behaviour on camera, that's our Pomodoro, then it's definitely not working. So don't do it. Again, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. My kid jumping and yelling all over my live stream works. People, a lot of people are there for him and they watch him actively on his page and they enjoy that because a lot of our children are the same. Even children without Down syndrome are like that, but it's up to you. If it's affecting you, don't do it. If you can find a workaround, do it. Maybe try like shorter ones. So try for a 90-second live stream that's quite structured, or live stream it onto your closed private profile first. And if it works, download it and publish it, upload it onto your Facebook page. So we're just going to take a quick break and come back to the Q&A because you guys are asking some amazing questions. The next one we're going to come back to is Jody House with, I always start with a plan and then, oh, look, a squirrel, I get off track. That's awesome. That's not a question. So we'll start when we get back with not wanting to feel like a spammer. I think that one, we're going to go over that. So can you guys please 100% step away from your computers now? Go and get a drink, do what you've got to do, but we'll see you back here at 7:40, which is in exactly 5 minutes. And in the meantime, I'm going to try and figure out how to actually find my Google Hangout screen. I found it. So I'm going to turn off the video, no distractions, turn off the sound, and take some notes, but don't come back on your computer for 5 minutes. Just have a little break. See you soon. Hey guys, we are back. One Pomodoro down, and let's hit up the second one. Now, let me ask. My time's up, I know that. It's a bit loud, isn't it? All right, reset, start. Let me ask you a question, guys. I would love to know who checked their social media during that 5-minute break. You don't have to fess up. If you did check your social media during that 5-minute break, I would absolutely love you to tuck your phone away in your laptop for the next break and pull out a pen and paper. So what actually happens is when we're in, there's two modes. You've got consuming and you've got creating. When you jump straight from learning something onto social media, yay, Bryony, love your honesty, you're awesome. When you jump straight onto consuming content in a talk to consuming by scrolling, you're not actually consolidating that information because you're using the wrong side of your brain. Actually checking in on your OV isn't that bad. It's just more the casual scrolling and the consuming without knowing what you're going to get. Consuming chocolate is A-okay, Rebecca. But definitely, if you can on the next Pomodoro, just jot down a couple of keywords or write down the resource or Google the resource that you're going to save or look up later. Yeah, exactly. Like Jane, definitely packing up from dinner, doing something like that. I just ran to the loo, ran upstairs and dug up my pillows and put a cover on. So anything boring like that's great. It'll help you consolidate the information a whole lot better than the casual browsing. Of course, if it's just getting you through, go for it. But let's crack on again. We've got lots of notes. So we're going to talk about ways to tell the story of your why, and this is something that Jessie Reimers and I covered off in our social media course fairly thoroughly. It's quite important. So let me see. This is a resource that I really wanted to grab for you. There's no reason I can't dig it up live. Jessie Reimers. Now, this is something that's really important to me as well, is that I am not big on, I'm really big on talking about other people and the good stuff that I've learnt, because I don't think, like when you try and just create, like I'd rather document the story of other people's success that I see, complement it with stories of my own that I've achieved. And that could be from little things like learning to show up regularly on social media using oils, which was a huge transition and mindset shift for me. But when you incorporate all that stuff together, don't ever, just like I'm doing here, yes, you know, one way or another, this webinar ticket was paid for. That does not mean that I can't share with you things that I find very high value from other people as a takeaway resource. In this as well, I'm going to be linking you to multiple free trainings from people that I've found incredibly helpful, both that I've paid for and haven't paid for. Nothing in here is affiliate links. But don't be afraid to do that when you're training people yourself. If it's a publicly provided resource, share in abundance and don't feel through scarcity that you need to withhold that information because you're worried about it presenting like you're just referring on. That's not the case at all. Like when you share, you're lifting other people up as you rise. And if it's something you use to support you in your journey, it's genuine and authentic to share that with others who are here to hear what you have to say, which your builders and your followers are. So that's what I wanted to say. Where's our sharing our why? No, I don't have it. So I'll dig it up and shoot it to you afterwards, or it may actually be from within our course, which means that we can't. But the important things to do when, I think somebody was just enrolled in the course and they've missed part of it. If anyone knows Lois Fisher on Facebook, can you please send her the private YouTube link? If that's all right. Because she has just enrolled late. Or can somebody actually, if you're a patron, if you're a Unicorn patron, if you could go drop this private YouTube link in the group, that would be amazingly helpful, which actually I can do. So I'm going to do that right now so you guys don't have to stop. Bet you someone will have done it by the time I get there. Oh, it's so slow today. Here we go. I'm just going to drop this link because I desperately don't want someone who's just booked a ticket in to see it. Flowers. Okay, cool. Please stand by. Now, I first heard about telling the story of your why quite some time ago when I went to a blogging conference called ProBlogger, which was on the Gold Coast. It was hosted by Darren Browse, who is the owner of ProBlogger.net, which is a fairly incredible resource. And the theme actually that year of ProBlogger, and this is where Jesse Reimers and I met, was at this. So we were introduced by a mutual friend of mine, Kathy, and we kind of clicked off fairly quickly. But this is why I recommend these resources so much, like getting outside the doTERRA community and going to different events and things and coming back and using that information that you've built to support your doTERRA business and support other people in the community, because they're just so, so powerful. If anyone has the capacity to watch a podcast, I've just dropped the link in there because he had some different content, but I don't think it's publicly available. So it's about getting clear why you're doing what you're doing, and how defining your why can help you get clear about your how and your what. And when you know your why, it motivates you through all your challenging times, and it'll always improve your productivity, because it's kind of like that end goal. It's that end goal. It's a really great webinar to watch, and the reason why I'm recommending it's a really great podcast, and the reason I'm recommending you listen to that podcast over the original Simon Sinek TED Talk called Finding Your Why, is because it's got a lot more implementing in our specific niche, which is showing up using social media. So I'll drop the link the link doesn't work. Oh, that's a bummer. I'll drop the link in here as well to the TED Talk, which is by Simon Sinek. Or you can actually just Google it if the link isn't going to work. But it's an incredibly powerful resource, and I think it might even be one that is shared within a lot of different sales trainings and that sort of thing. Sorry, let's drop that in, and I think that's the last link I'll drop. Error 404, that's no good. See if that one works. So that's the original Simon Sinek talk. Yeah, he's amazing, Kristen. He really is great. So we'll just go back to the Q&As, and I want to talk about Helen. So Helen has said that you can feel like a spammer. This comes back to marketing 101. So the question you need to ask yourself, and this is the fear of being seen, and we hold a lot of stories from our childhood, and a really big one for a lot of people, and I'm projecting here because I'm talking about me, a really big personal story I hold is that I'm wasting people's time. It's huge. Like, it really affects me. At a conference, when I meet people, I get so overwhelmed because I have sensory issues and I don't want to be there as it is. Even though, people will go, I remember I was at the doTERRA convention and some amazing woman who's in the Patreon Unicorn group went, oh, Kat, you're Kat, I love you. I was like, I love you too. And then, just because she'd seen some of my content, watched my live streams and enjoyed them, and that's something everybody does in our communities when they see someone that they've spoken to or engaged with online. And then afterwards I went, oh, I better follow up. Oh, no, she probably doesn't want to see me or have a chat to me because she already said hey, and it'll just... And obviously it would have been amazing to go and meet her and have a conversation, but I just kind of felt like I would be wasting her time, which is crazy, but we all do that sort of thing. So when it comes down to it, I mean, you've got really, you've got leading online marketers like Russell Brunson, who just put it really bluntly and said, if you're not pissing people off, you're not marketing hard enough. That's not the doTERRA way. We don't shove things in people's faces constantly. But at the same time, if you want to achieve and get ahead in your business, people are going to get pissed off at you. They're not going to be happy that you've shared the same business opportunity with them 3 times if they're entirely triggered by some aunt that kept shoving Amway in their mum's face. But that's not your problem. That's them projecting on you, because you're not ringing them and showing up on their doorstep telling them they can build their way to 6-figure success in 3 months simply by enrolling. That's not how you share. When you're sharing comfortably within your own boundaries and you're not breaching those boundaries, if you get pushback and people feel like you're spamming them when you're doing it on appropriate platforms, that's on them and not on you. And that will happen. I challenge you to find anybody who has built to become a doTERRA leader or a presidential diamond who has not had people push back and say, stop, I'm so sick of you. Because I've had that selling a $17 ebook. So if I'm going to have that selling a $17 ebook, we're probably going to have it at some point building out an essential oils business with hundreds upon hundreds of people enrolled in our downline. And it's not a reflection on us or what we bring to the table. It's a reflection on the person who is pushing back, and it's customer service 101. If you are spamming, it means you're in contravention of the CAN-SPAM Act. So if you're if you know that act, and this is when you can give yourself the tools and the fangs to know the right from wrong, because when you show that you know what you're doing, you start to lose that fear of how people perceive you because you know your shit. So when you understand what the CAN-SPAM Act is and you understand what the ACCC guidelines are for broadcasting emails out, for how to obtain permission to be able to add somebody onto your email sequence, that people have to opt in and accept, and you have to not be sly about it. They need to know they're going onto your subscription list. If you're doing all the right things and you've educated yourself and you're across that, if they feel like they're being spammed, you cannot be responsible for their emotions to a passive email. So upskill yourself and know what you need to do in Australia, or if you're overseas, in your country, in the States, it's the CAN-SPAM Act. Know what you need to do to be compliant with marketing principles. It's on the ACCC website in Australia. If you are compliant, you're not spamming people. When you're doing a launch, when you're doing something else, yes, you will be sending a lot of emails. I'm halfway through a course at the moment that's in beta, and I'm sending a lot of messages using my messenger bot. A lot of people are unsubscribing, and that's fine. And overwhelmingly, they've either quietly unsubscribed and maybe felt like it's spammy, which is okay, because any new marketing technique will feel spammy because it's in a zone they're not used to. And they're not used to people on social media appearing in their inbox when it's not one-to-one personal. And everyone can get triggered by that. And the funny thing is, the more divisive the marketing technique you use, the messages I get in my inbox after sending out those value bombs that have taught people how to run messenger bots for free without even needing to buy my course, I've literally gotten testimonials that I'm going to use on sales pages for people who haven't bought the course because they've had that for free. And they are thanking me and saying, I've been up till 3 o'clock in the morning building out this thing, and I'm so grateful because it's changed my business because I don't know how to use MailChimp, blah, blah, blah. So I never would have been able to support that person at that point in their business for free if I hadn't marketed a paid product to them in a way where they had opted in for it. And at any point, every point, they'd had the option to opt out. And you are divisive when you're marketing, and it's not about having a thick skin or being worried. It's about skilling yourself up to know the legislation, know the law, know social boundaries as well, where people do feel pushed and pressured, and keep an eye on it. If you're not getting people sending you raving feedback, but they're unsubscribing and you're getting the occasional negative thing, it's not being marketed well. If you have people sending you glowing, raving, happy feedback and really stop messaging me. I don't want this anymore. I typed stop and they typoed. I typed stop and it didn't work. I'm okay with that. You know, they have a clear opt-out option. So it's about finding that happy balance, because you're not going to make everyone happy. And you need to be able to push through at all levels and find new things that will work for you. Messenger bots, again, not for everybody, most certainly not for everybody. A lot of uses you can use them for, and you don't need to put opportunities in people's faces. This is where funnels come into it. So for example, if I did have a messenger bot, I don't need to use it to market or broadcast sequences. I can have an email in my welcome link, which I will have because this is the tutorial I'm filming shortly. There'll be an email, there'll be a link in my welcome email to my new enrollments that says, if you're interested in a 10-day sequence to show you how you can build a business with doTERRA and the type of support I offer to my downline, click here. They enroll, they get a 90-second video every day for 10 days. It'll show them the business opportunity, and then they can have a link to opt in and join the business builders group, or a link to take them to the sharers group. It's as simple as that. So you can also, once you've kind of gotten yourself to the point where you know you're really clear on your why, what I want to do, how I'm going to segment my people off, you're going to have less resistance and less pushback. And when we're building a doTERRA business, we're not doing launches, we're not doing these huge things. It's very cyclical, and we can simply segment people off. So if they are being quite, you know, if you're having people push back, look at what you're doing on a logical level. But I can guarantee most people who feel like they're spamming, a word said to them by their tribe. They just feel that way. And a really good example is me releasing my very first product, which was an ebook called The Guide to Building the Ultimate Guide to Hosting an Au Pair in Australia, which is still for sale, by the way. So when I launched it, I was like, oh my God, this ebook that I've done, it's just not valuable enough. Why would people pay $27 for this ebook? And it just links to a whole bunch of groups and websites, and it tells stories, and then it's got information I've collected from multiple host families. And yes, it's 30 pages and it took me 2 days to write, but is it worth $27? Because if 1,000 people do it, buy it, I've made 27 grand for 2 days work. And my head exploded, and somebody sat me down and shook my shoulders and said, Kat, has anybody, they said, how many ebooks have you sold? And I said, about 50. And they said, has a single person asked for a refund? I said, no. And they said, well, what's the problem? Why are you even thinking all this stuff? If you're releasing products, if you're releasing things online and people are happy with it, don't lead yourself up a garden path they're not even taking you. So that's my little rant, and I'm sure we all have our own. But yeah, they're definitely, if they're not your tribe, they're not your tribe. It's okay to be, you know, there's polarizing marketers. You can be divisive, but at the end of the day, a casual comment here and there is either a reflection on your influence level. So you may not have the more influence you hold with someone, pretty much the more you can get away with. You know, like, you guys are really engaged in my content, and you know that the resources I share are high value and that they'll get you results, and that you're always going to learn stuff that you can implement in real time. So that means, for example, if I was 2 or 3 minutes late, or if I'd had technical issues and things like that, you would be more forgiving of me having to go set up and run 10 minutes late to set it up. Whereas if you had bought a ticket through somebody who you'd been referred to, but you'd never experienced their content, you would actually be quite annoyed that they'd been unprofessional enough to not have it all organized in advance. Or you would be easygoing about it. But you're always going to get those kind of handful of people who are going to have a problem no matter what, or they're more likely to have that problem anyway. But happily, I started on time and it was all organized, so that's good. If we just go through the other Q&As, I would really like some of those Maltesers too. Yeah, Honor, okay, that's an old comment. Okay, so I've got so much I want to share that I don't know where to start, so I don't. Perfect, we'll talk about that later on down here, Rebecca, and that's all of our Q&A. So just got called out on a job. I'm assuming this isn't being recorded. That's no good, Jody. I'll send you guys out a little bit of a summary as well with the resources that we discussed, so you shouldn't be able to miss that. We will be online for the next kind of hour or so. If you can pop back, that'd be amazing. But you've got the YouTube link, even if you can manage to watch it in the car, we'd love that. So chapter 2, we're going to move on to, oh no, we're going to discuss the community management and how we handle the social media comments section. So this really flows on from the spamming stuff we were talking about with you, Helen. And we're just going to spend 5 minutes on the last two, which is the fear of being seen, being overwhelming, and steps we can take with resources and as well as community management. So how do you handle your social media comments section? Have you guys had any really specific events where you didn't know what to do when they happened on your page? Because I'd really like to talk about some of those. And while I wait for you to leave comments, I'm going to discuss some that have happened to me. Because there's a few, it's about getting, you know, when you can show teeth and when you've empowered yourself and you've got those resources behind you, it makes it easier to show up because you know what you're going to do in certain occasions. So for example, when you do boost posts onto Facebook, you're going to have people who don't know who you are, they're not your people, and they can leave very trolling or spamming comments. So my recommendation, like as a professional community manager, so I've worked in social media on Facebook, running the Facebook for a federal government agency. And, you know, as far as community management 101 goes, is generally if they're not part of your actual community, hide the comment. You don't need to delete it. They don't need to know it's hidden. If it was a boosted post or if you know that they had a mutual friend with a page liker, hide the comment and move on, and don't take it personally because they're sure not. They're just trying to bite. I know that there's a lot of fear around showing up because it's that fear of getting trolled. So I just want you guys to know that you've got a lot of resources out there to support you as well with that. You know, post in the unicorns group, post in your leaders group, post in your builders group when it happens. Don't feel shame around it because this happens to everyone. And I can tell you when this happens in corporate or a federal government agency, no one's sitting there beating themselves up that somebody said something mean. They're just like, right, how do we deal with it? What's the risk to reputation? What do we do? Some people lose their shit over internal use when it comes to oils. So leaving bad comments, reviews, private messages, then sending their own tribe across. I've heard of that before. So as far as community management goes, I've actually seen this happen before, and there was a case study done. Well, it wasn't a full-blown case study. I actually saw it discussed as a case study in one of my community management groups. And Peter came across to a poorly executed ad campaign from a large corporation who had recommenced animal testing so that they could sell their products in China where animal testing is mandatory. There's a really charming word for it in social media land. It's actually called shit posting. You can get ganged up on social media by communities that have a common cause, that are all brought together by something they're passionate about. I don't want to get into too many details about it. I just want to say if you find yourself regularly targeted, do you need to have, it's a risk assessment. You're going to have to manage the fallout. If there's a topic that's triggering a community that you are on the radar of, your options are basically don't post that publicly and avoid it until you're off their radar, and then test the water. And I'm not talking about internal use of essential oils within doTERRA guidelines. I'm talking about anything. And then you can, avoid it till you're off their radar and then reintroduce it, see how you go. And if you do have the occasional comment, hide it so it can't escalate rather than deleting and getting. The other one is put that stuff behind a wall or a funnel. So, for example, if you're wanting to educate people on certain things that can be controversial within your niche, business, or product, write a basic blog post about it with stuff that's not too in-depth and controversial, and put an opt-in for an email sequence to find out more information about this specific thing. Opt in here. If they're going to go out of their way to opt into your email sequence just to get private YouTube videos of you sharing in-depth information in sequences, they have way too bloody much time on their hands, and what are you going to do? But it's kind of risk assessment and being risk averse where you can. If you know that what you're discussing is going to be controversial, are you willing to dedicate the time to managing that? Or is it easier and safer with less risk to your brand to not post about that for a set amount of time? That actually covers our community management Q&A as well, which is fantastic. That's a really good topic. Thank you for bringing it up. And that's one I'm actually, hey, Maxie. Hey, Kayleen, that's Kaylee. I'm going to go into more depth on community management, definitely, in the book, because I think it's one that we can really all get more support around. And I've had to research it fairly extensively during my career. So that would be great. I will see you guys on the next Pomodoro, where we will be discussing why the fear of being seen can be overwhelming and what to do about it. And then we're going to move on to chapter 2, which is making room in your life. So then we've got these ones, a couple of them will fly through. Then we're going through chapter 3, telling your story. Chapter 4, telling them where to go, which is talking about calls to actions, why they're important. I've got a couple of great resources in there. Chapter 5, don't stop sharing. I'm going to show you how to do 5-day challenges and how to get really consistent with this stuff and how to survey your existing audience. And then micro actions, I'm going to talk a bit more about scarcity versus abundance. So I'll see you guys. It's 8:07 now where I am. I'll see you guys in exactly 5 minutes. So 8:12. Bye. Hey guys, we are back. I think I might have actually jumped on a minute early. I'm not too sure. Pretty sure it was 8:12 though, that's fine. Hi to Kayleen, who just found her live chat, and then we all left her for a Pomodoro. So that was great. We're just going to reset. So what I'll do is before we start again, if you do have your pen and paper or if you've got your notes there, I think it'd be really good if you can just write down a couple of bullet points from each chapter that really had an impact on you. So with mindset, if it was something that you thought of while we were having this conversation, whether it was something you saw talked about in the comment section, or if it's a concept or a resource you hadn't heard before, just jot down a line around how to announce your doTERRA business to your tribe and how to show up regularly talking about it and announcing it too. Ways of telling the story of your why and why it's important to know why you're building your business with doTERRA, or why essential oils have had a big impact on your life, and what your end goal is and what you're looking to achieve, whether it's that or, you know, something from our community management section, how you're handling your social media comments, or the last one, which is the fear of being seen and how it can be quite overwhelming. So as far as the fear of being seen goes, I think it's really important to think about why. At what point do you experience that fear? So what's the trigger for it? So have a think about the first time when you think about live streaming or showing up or recording that content, you feel that overwhelm that sucks you into the little spiral where you don't end up doing anything. When actually is that? Is it when you pick up your phone to live stream, or do you actually get to that point? Do you make it to that point? Or does the anxiety of sitting inside your overwhelm stop that before you even get the opportunity to pick up and live stream? Because a lot of the time, the resistance, the barrier to entry is far smaller than you think because of your habits. And habits are so, so powerful. It may literally just be what you think is a fear of being seen is that you just don't have enough reward to push you over the edge to do what you want to do. And you can change those habits as well, which can tie into that. We're about to go into that in depth. As far as the fear of being seen, I'm going to talk about this resource again, but it's called Pitch. It's a book. It's available on Kindle, and it's written by Orion Klaff, which is ORION-KLAFF. And in Pitch, he basically teaches executives how to pitch, how to get ideas on the table and openly discuss by shifting the power frame in an interaction. But one thing he does go into detail is the reptilian brain, and why when we are stepping into a place where we're going to be seen, we feel that. And we have those instinctive triggers that make us go, oh, I can't do this. Oh, this is a bit much. Oh, what about my next door neighbour if they're tuning in and they see that I'm here and I said I was on holidays last weekend? And it's that, this is Donna, I feel so dumb sitting there looking at myself talking to my phone. Hey, Donna, thanks for tuning back in. It's all those little things that can build up. It's about making the entry point of resistance as low as possible and improving the reward for yourself. And part of that is that 5-minute period you've got to jump over it and just do it and get it done. And it's not as easy as get it done sounds, but by implementing what I'm about to talk to you about with the power of habit, you'll increase the rewards to change that habit and help you form new ones, because it's called a habit loop. And this is basic, basic, basic. So Jenny said, I don't even pick up my phone. I just feel like I can't do it. I would challenge that and say that you don't have enough reason to do it. Because if I told you right now I'd give you $500 if you went and live streamed, you would do it. Because who wouldn't live stream on their page for $500? Therefore, the issue isn't whether or not you can do it or can't do it. It's how much reward are you getting for doing it? And do you need the reward? Does it need to go all the way to, I need to enroll someone on this post? If somebody doesn't opt in on my website webinar from this live stream, then I'm never doing it again. When you're triggering your habit of showing up, when you're tying that in with the reward that isn't really worth anything, or you're tying in your reward to somebody else external that you can't control, you're raising the resistance barrier to showing up because you're not getting a lot of reward. You know, I get a lot of reward from interaction because I've built my audience to the point where I know that I can get 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 views on a video if I do certain follow-up actions, send it to my list, share it in my specific groups. So I can reward myself when I need to, and I want to lower that barrier to entry and go, oh, I don't really want to do it, but I know if I really promote it for 5 minutes afterwards, it'll get 10,000 views. So that's easy for me. It's a no-brainer, but I had to build myself there, and I did that through using a lot of habits. I feel like I don't have good enough content for people to want to watch, and then I go blank. And then it's hard to work out a topic to talk about. So Rebecca, stay tuned for me talking about the Ask Method by Ryan Levesque, which is coming up shortly. And that's where you poll your existing audience for what they actually want to hear, because that's not your responsibility. You build the audience and ask them, survey, create that content, rinse, repeat. And feeling dumb sitting there looking at yourself talking on your phone. Just try securing it. And I'll actually show you guys, if you want, what my setup looks like, which I'll just do real quick. So, and I've gone out of my way. It's not expensive, but I've gone out of my way to build a beautiful office because I know that I love live streaming from there. Clearly I'm not in there right now, but you know, it's a bit messy at the moment. So this tripod, so this is where I record my live streams with Parker. That's a $70 tripod from JB Hi-Fi. This beauty ring, you can buy these on AliExpress for probably $100. I paid $400 because I'm a sucker, and it was rebranded. And I've got my oils. I've got a nice little display, which you can't see very well, a bookshelf. And I just love sitting in there. And that's my habit, is that I can go in there and record a YouTube video, use my light, sit there nicely. It looks all pretty, and it's a nice little habit for me because I'm already in there, because it's part of my routine to go in my office every morning. So that one's easy for me. But we're going to talk about the power of habit right now. So the resource I'm talking about is by Charles Duhigg, which is Charles and then Duhigg. So the book's literally called The Power of Habit. And then somebody said, belief in myself and what I have to say. Rebecca, the more positive reinforcement you get as you go along and show up consistently with nothing happening that is kind of contrary to that, it does get easier. Also, with belief in yourself and what you have to say, move away from educating and move into documenting what you're doing. You know, share little snippets. I'm not sure how to use this yet. Do you guys have any suggestions? I've tried it for X and Y and I had an amazing result. That's a really good way to build into it. And talk to other people about how they started sharing as well. Like, do a post in your builders group and find out from your leaders and people who are building alongside you what they're doing to move ahead with it. And then Andrea, I'm exactly the same. I make awesome products for myself that people want to buy, but I talk myself out of it. That's exactly very, very, very common. Just publish them anyway and get in the routine of it. It'll, even if you sell one or two of these products. So power of habit, the habit loop. It's a neural, so a lot of this mindset stuff, I just want to reiterate this. A lot of this mindset stuff is actually just the barrier point to entry isn't low enough and you're not getting enough reward. So we sit here in this cycle of beating ourselves up when in reality, if we had a better reward and a lower entry point, we'd probably just pick up and do it. If we had a nice tripod, or if we just figured out a way we could stick our phone on the wall so we didn't have to hold it because we feel awkward, or work ourselves into it. There's so many ways. So think of it like this. There's 3 elements. You get a cue. So this is what triggers you to do this habit in the first place. For me, one of my cues is walking into my office in the morning, sitting down at my desk and opening my laptop. Another cue is my diffuser. So when I go to my diffuser, I've already got some oils. My diffuser in the kitchen has oils next to it. So it's easy for me to pick up my camera, take a photo of what I'm diffusing that day and share it. There's lots of those little cues you can create for yourself. I quite often, I don't share photos of my son in the bath, but if I do put, you know, like lavender or something in the bath like that, I like to put it on there and take a little photo, and then I store it in case I want to share it later. I've got a couple of them obviously I'm not going to put my son publicly in a bath, but it's a really cute photo. I might put it in a private Facebook group sometime, even though you can't see anything nudie. So you've got a cue, then you've got a routine, and you get a reward. So as far as routines go, when I walk in my office in the morning and sit down, I'm going to create something, or I'm going to live stream something or produce something. I log in, I check my back office, I check my emails, I go into my YouTube. I have a list of tutorials I want to record. I have a lot of tutorials I record that are on YouTube links that are in different courses that I run and that sort of thing. And that's really my trigger. And then after I finish that one in the morning, I literally go and get myself a coffee. It's as simple as that, because I know that I'm not going to get my morning coffee till I've done my one action. It's not always a Facebook video. If you go back on my YouTube channel, there's a very flat video the other morning of me filming about yoga oils. I didn't have a coffee. I just sat down. I'm going to do this video because I want to talk about the oil that I'm using today with the Choose Arise, and then I'll have my coffee. So even just creating content doesn't need to be glorious. It just needs to be to get done. You've got your cue, which is like something that's already in your habit. Add a cue onto there. If it's a post-it, or putting your phone there waiting for you, or putting your laptop in a certain place. Have a routine that's easy for you to follow, and then make sure you've got a reward for yourself afterwards. Give you a reward and check in and see if they've done it. Have an accountability buddy. But this is how you change bad habits or form good ones that you really want to do. So the habit loop starts with a cue. That's the trigger that transfers your brain into the mode that it's a mental or emotional or a physical routine is your actual habit. So for example, if you're validated by negative self-talk, you might get a reward from feeling like, you know, one habit is, and this is a very negative habit, but you know, when you look and you see that you don't have any letters in the mail, or that you've got a whole pile of washing to do, if that pattern, if that cue triggers your routine of negative self-talk and low self-worth, and your reward is to go post on social media about how awfully horrid your day was and that you've got so much work to do, and you get a reward of having that post and having one or two people give you a little bit of sympathy, that's a habit. It's not a good habit. I mean, it's good every now and again, but when you do that and show up regularly and you're sharing negativity or you're putting scarcity out there, that's what will be reinforced in your brain. So when you can turn that around and create cues for yourself that will help you form good, positive habits that help you document or create, everything will start changing for you. And Layla does this incredibly well, Layla Rose. If you're not following her on Facebook, you should, because I love watching her document her own journey. She rarely creates. She does create things along the way, but it's amazing just watching her consistently show up and document what she's already doing. It's very powerful, and it's clearly a habit for her. And she's on this webinar, so hey. So the golden rule of habit change is, if you keep your initial cue, replace your routine, and keep the reward, change will happen. So for example, if you're in the habit of writing negatively on your face, I've been there, done that. If you're in the habit of having a big whinge on your Facebook page, your private Facebook profile, keep the initial cue, replace the routine, keep the reward of doing the post. I've literally pulled this out the air, but it's a very common one that everyone's done before, and it's a good trigger. You see that dirty pile of washing, you go, right, I'm going to do a video about my dryer balls and struggling through this pile of washing. I'm going to put a call to action to get some lavender to put on the dryer balls. I'm going to call to action that if you just are staring at a pile of washing all day and you're feeling bummed about it like me, wouldn't it be amazing if you could build a business part-time in a few hours a week that could pay for a cleaner? So once you start to turn that around and you do that post, you're still going to get the validation of people saying to you, oh, you poor thing, look at that bloody washing, that's huge, and they're posting their own washing piles. But you've taken the negative self-talk out of it, and you're replacing that routine with something that's getting you a benefit for your business. You've got your cue, you've got your reward still, and you're just replacing the routine with good habits. So something that you can look at doing is just identify it can be tricky to find your cues, but I want you to think about when you get so overwhelmed and where you're standing and what you're looking at when you decide you want to do a post. And yes, a lot of the time they will be in the same place, or just think of anywhere. Get that overwhelmed. What are you doing? Exactly where are you and what are you doing? Because I'm telling you, you have a cue. Cue is linked to your habit and your reward. So are you in the car? Do you always drive past somewhere beautiful and you get inspired and you always want to take a photo of it and do a little story? And when you drive past that car, when you drive past that beautiful thing in your car, you're like, oh no, I can't live stream that because everybody live streams about Crystal Castle and Byron or wherever it is that you're passing, and I wouldn't even do it justice, blah, blah. There's a cue. When you see things that are beautiful, that's your story. So stop, take the photo. Exactly. Find the opportunity in the negative. Find some way to reframe it so that you can post about it, because the habit that you're doing is literally just how you write that social post and how you turn that around, and keep the reward on the other side. Whether it's a negative Facebook post on your private profile instead of that public one, you're still going to get similar feedback, or there's a whole pile of these. Go read the book. It is amazing. And the last thing I'll say about the power of habit is understanding habits is what created Alcoholics Anonymous and changed people's lives, of which I am not one because I'm a terrible drinker and can't even finish a bloody glass of wine. But by understanding the habits, belief is when it comes to habits, which is consistency in showing up and taking the same actions, which is why things like EFT tapping are so important. Engaging with the same leaders consistently is important because that grows your belief. That's how we started Alcoholics Anonymous, which obviously has changed tens of thousands for people. But habit, belief, and your actions are so intrinsically linked and powerful. It's about which ones you can snowball and identify opportunities in and just change one thing at a time. So even if you just write down something small, like when every opportunity you can think of in the last week where you've gone to do a social media post, but you've chosen not to. So write down those ideas that you had that you didn't run with and just work backwards through them. When did you decide not to post them? Why did you decide not to post them? Any questions about that? No, we'll move on. So chapter 3, did I set that Pomodoro? I didn't set the bloody Pomodoro, did I? We'll go for another 5 because I didn't set the thing, but I think you guys are hanging in there. Okay, so we're going to slow down on the Q&A a little bit more of this content because it is getting juicy. So just a really quick overview of each platform and why most builders are successful on Facebook. Because this is where the communities are. Obviously, the main platforms that you can build a profile on are Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. LinkedIn is more for business opportunities. If you're not a regular LinkedIn user, you should not be building a business on it. If you're not a regular Twitter user or Pinterest user, you should not be attempting to build you should be building a business on the platform you use the most and where most of your audience live. And right now, that is Facebook. In some cases, it may be Instagram, and it's an additional touch point for you to show up in the news feeds. That is and will remain Facebook because that is where the advantages are. Communities, linking together. You can link your pages with different groups. It's easy to navigate. There's ways you can funnel people through natively. And now get people in your Facebook group to convert over as a page liker. And there's 5 ways that Facebook has now just made managing our groups even easier. So I'm just going to rattle them off rather quickly. So obviously when you lead a Facebook group, you've selected the privacy settings, you've got some really clear and concise guidelines, and you're choosing a couple of key admins that are across all those guidelines and the rules since June of this year. So there's now Facebook group welcome messages. instead of having to go through the members list individually, with the new update, you can write a welcome post using the right-hand side that will automatically tag all the new people to the group. In a couple of clicks, you can have a default copy-paste saved in your notes to introduce them. Instead of having everyone tag, you can just link back to your pinned post with a direct URL underneath where you've tagged them all. So it's an extra touch point to make sure they're seeing your content in your private communities where you've funneled them after you've onboarded them, either as with a new account or if they're interested in oils and want to learn more. You can identify admin as well, and there's different levels. There'll be a moderator or they'll have full control over it and that sort of thing. And you can actually also search members' post history on Facebook, which is quite cool. You should, with the new updates, it's called member profiles. When you click on a person's name, they'll be directed to a group-specific profile, which is based off information publicly available, which could be the member's activity within the group or any common interests that you share based on the publicly available information. Obviously, Facebook group insights are updated considerably and they're astonishing. That's pretty much it. They're the main ones that have been updated. And my fifth one that I want to show you, how you can convert your existing audience into a page liker by attaching your group page and inviting them. So I'm actually going to show you live because this is obviously a private webinar and it's a public group where you guys are all in anyway, so it's not exactly issues there. Let me pop over here and screen share. I hope I can do this with Google Hangouts. Can I screen share? Entire screen. Share. Okay. Can you guys let me know if you can see that screen share okay, just my screen? I'm hoping so. I'll come back and check that in a second. Okay. Yeah, you can see the screen share, beautiful. So this is inside, obviously, Essential Oils, our Essential Oils Social Media Unicorns Wellness Advocates group. What I want to show you is, and I've actually tested this and I don't feel like there's a lot of engagement that people are losing as a result of attaching their page to a group. So I've actually reattached mine and I'm happy to use it. And there's actually a really huge advantage, and I have not seen this discovered by anybody else at all. It's a digital marketing land, and I've paid for a number of masterminds that have assisted me in building Facebook groups. So this is what I want to show you how to do on your own groups, and it's a way that you can back your group into as a page follower. So is find posts that you have personally sent in as, that you've made as a page. So obviously this has been published as my page. If you scroll down here and you click on the likes, you can actually go through and see how they say liked and invited. I invited them to like my Facebook page. This is something you can do within your own Facebook groups as well. Exceptionally easy to do, and I haven't actually left any so that I can show you. But here's one, for example, that I shared this the other day. And if every day you just go back through your most recent posts, especially if you have a large Facebook group but a smaller online profile on your page. So you just come along here and you click on invite. People who have liked my page post inside my group, because I have a linked page, it will invite them to like my Facebook page. So just to backtrack, if you're not aware, you can link your Facebook page, your business page, as an admin so it can actively post inside there. I'll show you now quickly how to do it in case you're not already aware. And then come down to linked pages and edit linked page or add linked page. And then you choose from your linked pages, you choose from the pages that you administrate them on. So you just hit link. You can have as many linked pages as you like. Obviously, a lot will be quite annoying. That is a very powerful way to increase your online presence so that you've got points with the same people. Really important when it comes to growing your personal brand and making sure people are seeing your content. If it's high value, they're more than happy to consume versions of it more than once. And Kathleen, we really need a Pomodoro, and I'm so sorry we ran over. Is making sure you guys get breaks in here. I'm back in 5 minutes, so I won't set the timer, but it's 8:38 here now. At 8:43, and when we get back, just to show you where we're up to, we've just worked through most of chapter 3. We've just covered off how to get people in your Facebook group converting as page likers. We'll be talking about how to practice your storytelling, getting the flow right. I'll be giving you a couple of resources, and then we're going to talk through 2 of my favorite marketing techniques that get results, and they're called Hero's Journey and Common Cause. It's a way to tell a story through documenting instead of creating. And then we're going to go through chapters 4, 5, and 6, which are quite small and just have a couple more resources. So in 5 minutes, it's now 8:39, so I'll see you back here at 8:44. Hi guys, we are back and I so have my second wind because I just had caffeine. Woo, so the night for it. The rest of, so where we're up to is telling your story, and we've already talked about live streaming on private profiles first to practice, and a good way to practice your storytelling and turn it into blog content or content you can repurpose and share is you can actually transcribe your live videos or your pre-recorded or your YouTube or on your lives and Facebook, pop them on YouTube on a private link, rev.com, ref.com, and it's $1 a minute US, and it'll get the entire thing transcribed. It'll come back and you can copy, paste into your blog, edit, you're done. Content done. So that's actually how Gary Vaynerchuk produces his content, and couldn't write a blog to save himself. He produces all of his by transcribing and having it professionally edited, and then just publishes it as bite-sized content. So it really falls back into that documenting thing as well. You don't need to republish and document your whole journey. It might just be, you know, you find that you've done a live stream or a post that gets lots of engagement, you know. Sometimes I'll just show up and do a random live stream, and I had one that did really well, which was about mindset and talking about scarcity versus abundance, and an experience I had where I was upsold a product with joy and pleasure, and then somebody else tried to talk me out of buying an expensive linen dress. Just a story I told, it was very, you know, it was quite powerful because it had a profound impact on me. And because it had such a high reach, that's something I could very easily send away and get transcribed and turn that powerful story that I had in that moment into a blog post, which I know would be read by a fair few of people and be quite likely to be liked and shared because my original story was. I turn up with that story content. So, I mean, if writing's your thing and it's not videos, produce videos. You can actually just turn your blog content into short little videos. There's tools you can use online for that. Just ask in the Social Media Unicorns group, and people happily recommend different transcribed short blogs into videos. You can drop backdrops. If you hate live streaming, you don't need to do it. You can just pre-record. If you hate blogging, just get your live streams or your recorded videos transcribed. Just find the easiest way for you to show up and then repurpose. Content you do create, you need to ask and ask them. Tell them what you want them to do next. Have a call to action. Calling to your people and telling them what you want them to do, watched or consumed your content or observed what you've done. Correct. You can tell people to enroll. You can tell people to purchase a specific type of oil, to get onto LRP, do on social media. Don't be afraid to just tell them. Guys, if you're not on LRP, get on LRP. You're getting a free frankincense. Go and do it. Why haven't you done it yet? Feeling pressure around it, they're going to feel the pressure. If you're just doing it and showing up and asking, that decision, but it'll have more of an impact. You don't need to directly ask people. So this is called a funnel. You can tell people, you can offer people value, and you can say to them, hey, if you liked this live stream I just did outside my son's kindy about how stressful my day was and the 3 glorious oils I have covered my body in, what I do is when I get home, I'm going to drop a link to my free ebook. Hello, ebook please. And when I get home from the kindy run, I'm going to inbox you the link of where you can download the ebook. Or I'm just going to inbox you the PDF ebook, whatever you want to do. So if you use a messenger bot, you can send them the link to subscribe them. If you don't use a messenger bot, which you don't need to, you can just do this manually, and it's quite straightforward if it's just the occasional post here and there. Send them a PDF download, or you can send them the link, or you can send them a link to your website and tell them, go to the top and just opt in. Like, you can use your funnels quite manually and tell people where to go and what to do. And it will still work because people are showing up for you. I really want you to know that structure and call, like when you ask people to do something, you don't need to always, oh, tell them to get oils, tell them to get oils. Educate them about oils, and then maybe get them onto your email list, or tell them, hello, and I'll send you a video every day for the next 5 days explaining like the top 5 oils and what the benefits are. The resource is called Jab, 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 Right Hook by Gary Vaynerchuk, and I'm full well expecting signal. I'm going to move downstairs for this. Guys, that's no good. This is why I should have had the chat screen open. But what I was talking about, you should have reception now, sorry about that, is I moved on to talking about Jab, 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 Right Hook, which is a book by Gary Vaynerchuk, who I was talking about earlier. And it's basically, before you ask people for something, you need to be consistently showing up and adding. I think it's just my signal in general, which is not good. Let me switch across. Give me a sec. Can actually guarantee you it's my... Sorry, unexpected circumstances. I think my 12-year-old is live streaming on her iPad. She's not home. It's just my terrible internet. Sorry, guys. There's actually no workaround for this. It can give out sometimes because I live in the city in a very old house, and it can have weak. It should drop back in so now that I'm downstairs. But Gary Vaynerchuk, Vaynerchuk, Jab, 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 Right Hook. The Jab, Jab, Jab is you showing up and adding value. So you need to earn the right to ask. You can ask as often as you like, as long as that person knows that you will also be showing up and adding value and making their life better in a way that really addresses their pain points. So that's pretty much it. That's really straightforward. A lot of that you guys will already know. It may have just added some extra facts to it for you and resources. If you've got any questions, ask away. What I want to talk about now is different storytelling techniques. So the most common ones that you can use are hero's journey and common cause. So I break this down and make it super factual because it is what it is. These are names and labels placed on human habit, things that we do in real life because it's just a natural way to be able to tell a story. So if I were to give you an example of common cause, well, when Jessie decided that she wanted to get the Heart Foundation tick removed off the wrong type of foods, she didn't know that you can't take down a massive corporation. She just knew that that wasn't okay and she wanted to fix it, and she knew she couldn't do it alone. So she started a petition to find people who are working together toward a common goal, which is feeding their children better and not validating that it's okay to put junk into their bodies unnecessarily and impacting parents' decisions, which is leading them away from eating cleaner and more naturally. And she created a common cause. She literally, her tribe started growing because people had so much in common. They were drawn to her because there was something they were working to achieve. And that's exactly how it is. And if there is something you're passionate about, even if it can be a little divisive, if you have a community that supports you, don't be afraid to pursue that and ask for their help to support you in that, because you can achieve amazing, amazing, incredible things when you band together as a tribe. You really can. And if you want proof of that, just Google my name with Down syndrome at the end, Kat Abiani, Down syndrome, because, you know, my 4.5-year-old has Down syndrome, and the amount of times my amazing, amazing community has banded together to support me to get, you know, little rules changed or wording fixed, or they've helped sign, you know, make posts get seen by the right people so company change their policies, is absolutely incredible. And it's been written about so many times, and we've managed to achieve such incredible things, and not just through me, through the support of other people within the community who also have children with Down syndrome, who have been able to support each other. So don't be afraid to be passionate about what you're passionate about and let that shine. You don't need to play safe to keep everyone happy. Your tribe is your tribe, and Remember, if you're not pissing people off, you're not marketing hard enough. And it's not about marketing products all the time. It's about showing up in an authentic way with very firm boundaries around what you're sharing that you're comfortable with. If it falls within those boundaries and that person isn't in the arena, as Brené Brown says, they don't matter. They don't matter. And that's how to build a powerful online presence where you can truly show up and make change. That book, it is called Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. I can send a link out to you if you like. It talks through common storytelling techniques, and you may notice that I just did that. So I just told you a story and got you involved and got you listening to it and quite invested in how it ended. And you probably want to, if you don't know about my son, you might want to see his Facebook page, or you might now go and Google Jessie Reimers and the Heart Foundation tick and read more about her backstory. That's because you're now invested in that story, because instead of just giving you dry educational content, I'm taking you on that journey and I'm storytelling and bringing you into it. And they don't have to be my stories. They don't have to be yours. I just told Jessie's story and the story of my son. So chapter 4, tell them where to go. If I'm not pissing them off, that's right, Tracy. If you're not pissing them off, you're not marketing. It's not, don't take that literally. It's just people can get a little bit upset sometimes. So grain of salt, guys. Don't take that away as a quotable. So telling them where to go. We're talking about setting up your very own online funnel. I'm going to go through and screen share this for you. So I'm going to switch across to screen sharing right now. Again, so if I jump back over to my Facebook page, I'm going to start on my own and then you can have a look. Google Hangouts. A lot of you guys already have this. I'm just going to make it super quick for just so there's extra value if you may not have seen this tutorial in the group. There is a as well in the Essential Oils group. So what I want to show you, and what I want you to do is go on your own Facebook profile and put this down in your notepad as an activity to do at some point. Go on your own Facebook profile and view it as the public and just see where it takes you. So say you're posting and you're adding value on someone's page in the comments or in a Facebook group. What are people seeing when they visit your profile? Can they follow you? Because people can follow me, and these guys have literally just friend requested me and now they're added as a follower, because I don't know if I'll accept that, because I don't know if I know him or not. But either way, he's going to see my public posts from now on. So those 1,500 followers, more than likely they're just friend requests I haven't accepted, because I show up in a lot of Facebook groups and value add. So where can I go from here? If I'm following me, I'm seeing a little bit of oily content. That's fun. I know that Kat Abianic definitely does essential oils. There's some photos, and then it's actually got a call to action. Follow me at Kat Abianic. My intro is very concise and it says exactly who I am and what I do and what I love. I love books, oils, social media, and soul. So that is all it says. So come up with your own. That is your why. Why do you do what you do, and how do you do it? I do it by sharing resources of books, which I've been doing on this webinar. I share oils, I educate on social media, and I truly believe in everything coming from the soul, being compassionate, soulful, and real. And what's that other word for when you screw up a lot? Somebody help me out here. That's me too. Imperfect action, imperfect. So that takes me onto my Facebook page, easy peasy. So that funnel, basically I've showed up and I've added value in a group. You don't need to be jumping on Facebook groups and telling people, oh, I do essential oils, blah, blah, blah. You know, if you want some, get in contact, PM me. No one's ever going to send you a private message because you've showed up in a Facebook group and told them to send you a private message. I guarantee you, because 800 people before you have told them the same thing. Add so much value in that group, on that post, not just about oils. Add so much value, they stalk you and they find your page and they go, oh, that's cool, that's really natural and organic. And that's not natural and organic, it's me in a shoe shop. But you know, I've got a diffuser here, I've got oils, and a lot of you guys here in your about, you can actually set this up as a full-blown blog. So this is an organic sales funnel that has cost me $0 to build. I don't need a Facebook page. I don't need a website. I don't need all that stuff. I do because it's good. They just stalked me on social media because they loved a post I did in a group. They would literally get to a sales page because that's my about section. And I've got all of it there. I've told them exactly what I'm doing. I've got my why. I've broken down the business opportunity. I have it all. And have I actually published it? A preview. I should have published it. And then it's got the link to enroll. So I actually built that out the other day because I went, this needs to be a little bit more organic because not everybody's going to come through on social media. No, not everyone's going to go through and visit my website. So there's a lot of ways you can funnel people through. And that is a couple of them. And I'm just going to stop sharing with you now. And we'll go back to notes. So, sorry, give me a sec, guys. Give me 1 sec. Actually, I think what we'll do is we'll just go on a little break before we come back for the last Pomodoro, which will be 25 minutes. So I'll see you guys in 5 minutes. Hey guys, back for our final Pomodoro. I am so proud of you. It's 9:05 and 27 of you are still here. You guys are absolute legends. I really hope that you are learning stuff as well while you're here. I know lots of it is us, a lot of it is us having a good chat. Please let me know in comments if you have actually jotted down any notes that have given you new things that you can implement within your business as well, because that really is my ideal outcome. If you can also leave some notes on anything that you would like more information on, or for me to go into more detail, add more resources, share more stories about, let me know, because this is going to be transcribed as the starting foundation for the remaining chapters of my book, A Powerful Online Presence using social media. And it's not about a large online presence. It's about a powerful community with lots of touch points, adding value. So anything you want me to go into more information about, tell me in comments so I can, because I will. So we are up to how to crowdsource blog ideas and draw inspiration from your Facebook group, because we're on chapter 5, which is don't stop sharing. We're going to talk about why people often enroll after months or years of seeing you share, and Helen will have information about this just as well, because she's been sharing for years, and I've noticed it already, and I've only been actively using doTERRA for just under 2 years, and I've only been building for less than 6 months. Why you need to add value consistently and show up often, that falls back into the power of habit, and how to run a 5-day challenge from your Facebook page with no other tools needed. So with people enrolling, you need those multiple touch points, but you're taking them on a journey. So don't think just because people aren't liking or commenting, they're not seeing what you're doing. Because I've had people message me saying, they've changed my entire mindset on everything when it comes to building a business online and sharing using network marketing. Or they've said their mindset's changed. I went, oh, what changed it? And their response was you. And this was a 21-year-old kid who had such strong misconceptions about what it meant to build a network marketing business of my own, or watch other mothers do it, or how they do it, and his preconceptions on how they, show up in the social media space. That was really powerful because, 3 pages of notes to review, my God. That might mean in the future that if he has friends or family that are passionate about essential oils, who find themselves in a position where they want to grow a home-based business, I've planted enough seeds that more than likely, in spite of him not building that business, he's probably going to refer them to me. So it's those little ways where you can show up and add value, that you just want to be that go-to person, that people understand that you do have that value to offer, and they can send people to you. You're trustworthy, you're reliable, and you can add value to other people's lives as well. So that's the why you need to be consistent about it, even though you're not getting those likes and shares. If you're getting down about it, give yourself a reward every time you do it. Literally build it in a routine for yourself, or have someone check in with you and confirm, like, if you have done what you said that you wanted to do, and add those prompts, because it's that consistent showing up that is a rolling ball, and people will validate this over and over, that it's a year or two down the track a lot of the time that they'll pop in and suddenly enroll, and you didn't expect it, because they need to be hitting that pain point. You actually need to be in the newsfeed when they hit that pain point, when they need that oil or they want that fix. It doesn't need to be on that topic, but when you pop up in their newsfeed and they have an exceptionally sore knee and Tiger Balm's failed, and they don't want to take mainstream pain medication, or have yet another scan, and they're willing to try something that may support them with that, you're not live streaming about their dodgy knee, but they'll be like, oh, I wonder if that oil would work. Hey, can I get a sample? I've got a really sore knee. Can I buy it retail? It's just being there. It's being there when they have that pain point. You talk a lot, so I'm just going to answer this from me. You talk a lot about adding so much value. Can you be more specific about what kind of value we could be adding if you were steering away from educating? Yes, Megan, this is absolutely different from everybody. So if you want to see the value I add, there's a couple of different types of content. So I'm going to refer you back to my Facebook group. go into the resources section and watch the video I've done with Katia on live streaming, because that has very specific ways you can create content that adds value, and it's got the different types as well. So it talks about the cornerstone keynote content that you've crafted and you've built out like this. I've gone through specific concepts that I want to talk about, and you know, provide ways that you can implement that into your own routine or your social media. I've given really specific tips and resources to go to as well. So this is like my keystone content. My day-to-day content is me showing up and live streaming me making Play-Doh with my son. So I actually do that on my Facebook page at least twice a month. And I get a lot of enrollments on. When I say a lot, you know, I've not been building for a huge amount of time. I had, in October, I had 8 online enrollments. In November, I think maybe 2. I was very much doing other things. This month, 1 or 2, again, doing other things. January to March, I'm going to be actively building my social media. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of that kind of content, in between educating with blog posts and shorter live streams. If you want content ideas and you know, showing up and just adding little snippets here and there, go and look at people that you're attracted to and literally sit there and write lists. Watch Katia and I have done a live stream, and watch the live stream because she talks about a content hamburger. So it's breaking it down into 3 and then 3 again, and literally it teaches you how to build the lists of your ideas that you can structure out. Now, the other way, which we're about to go through, is the ask method. This is even easier, Megan. You actually don't even need to think of the ideas yourself. It's called the ask method, and it's invented by a guy called Ryan Levesque. So this is a book on Kindle. It's literally called the ask method, and it is how you get ideas of what you actually need to create for people because you ask them. Really simple that I do is I segment and start actually. Something really simple that I do is I ask people what they want from me. And then they tell me and I give them. And it's as simple as going into your Facebook group and just saying, what do you want me to talk about this month? What do you want me to talk about this month? And add 3 or 4 options for them to vote on, and tell them if you want something else, add it as a poll option. And people will vote on it, and you'll quite often be surprised. And then literally you can address their exact pain point because you've asked. If you download the Creator app, Creator app, from the App Store on your iPhone, it's the new version of Mentions. You no longer need to be verified to use it, since it's reverted to being called Creator. So using the Creator app, you can actually create polls on your public page, and you can do the same thing. You can ask your followers what they want to see, or offer them an option to choose from. This month's topic, do you want it to be X or Y? Many people are voting for one, that's what you want to do. And that's all about when you're finding out exactly what they want and you're polling them and surveying them using the ask method. It really is as simple as ask people what they want and give it to them. Follow the ask method structure of doing a survey and then create the content based on that. So it's really not complicated. It's as simple as what's your biggest pain point with blah. So what's your biggest pain point with building your online, with getting online enrollments is a very common question for me, because that's what I'm building towards. I've got the social media experience. I've only been building for 6 months. So I know how to get online enrollments. There are a lot of things I can be building better, and there's a lot of things I can be optimizing out for myself, and people come with me on that journey. And I'm not constantly educating. I'm directing back to the highest value resources I know of from my personal background, and sharing what I learn as I grow, because I can't be an expert in finding the latest and greatest group hack. It's not a thing. But I can just find it and share it and value add that way. So that's one way I've showed up and added a little bit of value, because that tip, that wasn't the first time I'd showed people that. I actually shared that in some of my other groups and did a screen record and just dropped it in as well. So Jody, the name of the app is Creator App, and I'm just going to drop that in comments for you. So Helen has said it's almost 2 years, enrolled her first person herself after being a customer for a long, long time. You just never know what people do. They are always watching. They are always watching. They are always watching. And somebody enrolled with Helen at 9:45 one New Year's Eve via a text, and it was a final enrollment she needed to get into Diamond Club. That's pretty amazing. And somebody else offered a resource. If I scroll. So Tracy, thanks Tracy Charlson. Thanks Tracy. The Aladdin Factor is a great book about asking questions. Definitely. It's as simple as post. You can actually write this down as an action item. Go post in your Facebook group. What is your biggest pain point right now with whatever? So something that you have had your builders or your page following or your friend, whoever, just something that's been mentioned once or twice to you, ask them what their biggest blocker is or their biggest pain point. So if I were to ask you guys something right now, because I wanted to create content afterwards out of this, I would say to you, what's your biggest pain point when it comes to tech tools that you're using to build your powerful online presence? Because I know that that is one of your biggest pain points. I know that because I ask you and I survey you, and that is a huge sticking point for wellness advocates, is what can I physically, how do I get past this tech issue? For example, I know one person on this live stream literally can't get her YouTube live to work and link up to Google Hangouts and that sort of thing. And she's tried multiple times. And like with all these things, it's probably a very easy fix, but when you can't find it, you go around in a circle and it's so frustrating. So, you know, tech issues are a huge part of that, which means that I want to create more content that helps with those little tech issues or share more. So how to run a 5-day challenge from your Facebook page. It is as simple as doing a post saying, hey guys, and this is part of your common cause. I am working towards eliminating all the toxins from my home in the next 5 days. Comment below if you want to join me, and days 1 to 5 I'm going to record a quick video and I'll shoot it through to you, letting you know what our action is for that day until it's all eliminated by day 5. That's as easy as it is. And if you have a huge following, you probably want to use a messenger bot using ManyChat, which is free, or you can pay, I think it's $10 a month, $7 a month. Or you can literally, if you're only going to have a handful, 10, 20 people, you might even just want to manually do it. You might want to manually do the live stream and then have them opt in and say, hey, just comment below and I'll send you the link every day. And privately, every day, just go and send that 10 or 20 people the link to your live stream you did about your journey of culling all synthetic products that are cleaning related from your home. That can be your 5-day challenge. It doesn't need to be complicated, and you have those people engaged. And on the last day of your challenge, do a video saying, hey, I loved doing that with you. I stuffed up a couple of times, but we got there in the end, and I really hope you enjoyed it and you got some results. If you would like to use more of these natural products in your home and you don't have a doTERRA account, enroll, blah, 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 there's a special on below. So it's as easy as getting them on that little journey with you, and or adding them to a list. Or 5-day challenges can be really powerful in building a list as well, because you can grab their email when you go. That's something Jessie Reimers and I have in our social media course, is how to effectively build a 5-day challenge to build your list quite fast and effectively. So just think of ideas about that, but no, you don't need all the fancy tech to do it. If you have a big page, yes, you do. Or you can even just use a free messenger bot if you have a big page. You can check out the free tutorials on my YouTube channel right here. That's fine. You know how to find and address your followers' exact pain points is by surveying them, asking them, send them an email, do a survey monkey. And then using those pain points, create solutions, ask them for the solutions and send them out as short blog posts, which are compiling their suggestions to fix that. Crowdsource your blog ideas and draw inspiration back from your Facebook group. A good example of that is a video I did that has 12 or 20,000 Facebook views called You Know You're a Wellness Advocate When. I literally did a post in my group that said, you know you're a wellness advocate when fill in the rest. And they wrote the funniest things, and I turned them into a blog post. It was like 20 of them, and it was awesome. And then I turned it into a funny little video. And so many people watched it and they engaged, and it was fun, and people saw that side of Wellness Advocates and what we laugh about and got to see and feel like they're a little bit of a part of the community. So that's how, I hope that gives you some ideas on how you can crowdsource your social media ideas to draw inspiration from and create content. You don't need to create, invent. You just don't need to. Ask your community, do a survey, literally just show up, do a poll, ask them, and then deliver it back and share it with everybody else. Last one. So this is a super fast one, and I called this Don't Let the Snowball Melt. So this is about what sort of micro actions can increase your snowball and get it rolling bigger. So we've got my own, sorry, I'm just going to go back to the Q&A because Helen's put her own headspace and mindset about being an online roller is her biggest block. Someone needs to slap her out of it. I will do that for you. Okay, Michaela, my head is exploding with 5-day challenge ideas. That is amazing. I'm so glad. Write them down. Write them down as soon as you get off this webinar, because you might forget some. But definitely all your 5-day challenge ideas, write them down, and get them on paper so that you're not staying awake thinking about them and you do remember them. Headspace and mindset, I'm covering this off right now in Building a Snowball, Helen. Get onto Louise Hay. So Louise Hay, I think, is often underlooked because so many noisy marketers are taking up that natural mindset consciousness space at the moment. But when you do come back to, you know, she's the founder of Hay House. She wrote You Can Heal Your Life, which is a book written the year I was born, which is an incredible, incredible book written in 1984. It is still incredible. You can still buy it on Kindle. You Can Heal Your Life. She's got affirmations on her website that you can use, and you can sign up and get those affirmations regularly. But, you know, looking at that sort of stuff, like, and to stay in an abundant mindset, start to form those habits where, for example, you know, if you get in the habit of tapping every morning using EFT tapping, or doing an affirmation with Louise Hay, set your alarm, do your affirmation or the tapping or your meditating, and then go straight from that to whatever your activity or thing is that you're going to do, that you want to work on, and eat the frog. Brian Tracy, there's a resource called Eat That Frog. Do the biggest, dirtiest job first. When you wake up in the morning, you've got that ball of anxiety in your stomach because you know there's something that you're going to be in trouble about because you were meant to do it and you haven't, and it's a bit to be doing ASAP when you wake up, and you can't sit on them too long. And I do it all the time, and we all do it all the time, but acknowledge that as well. And part of the staying in an abundant mindset is whether or not you do eat the biggest frog, or whether you do choose to procrastinate on occasion and it takes you a long time. You really need to, I feel, this is something that I talked about, I actually worked through recently when I went on a little bit of a retreat with a friend of mine, is honouring your past decisions. So not all your past decisions are good ones. And not all your past social media decisions are good ones. I've made some monumental screw-ups that I'm not happy about, and I've written blogs online that I'm just like, bleh. I really wish Daily Mail didn't republish that. I really wish I'd never written that piece for Kids Bot because I just thrashed it out because they commissioned it, but I don't love it. And in fact, I think I come off quite cringeworthy. My past choices to have showed up at that time and created that. And I think the same goes with what we've already done and produced and what we do every day. And it comes right back down to even, you know, love yourself in spite of the procrastinating that you're doing, and acknowledge that at that time, it felt like the best decision you could make for you to get through that moment or that hour or that day. Because when you can honour that decision and go, I'm doing the best I can right now, and I also want to do better, and this is how I'm going to work towards it. Like, you're also, that's another part of that habit where you're breaking that feedback cycle where you're actually rewarding yourself by procrastinating, because you get to beat yourself up and feel a little bit of that shame and guilt. That's a habit. So you can literally even turn around that sort of stuff using the tools from the book, the resource I gave you, The Power of Habit. It's really powerful, and I think it's something that everyone should read before starting any business, let alone something where we have to consistently opt in and show up online. And how funny that it's 9:25 and I just received a YouTube notification that Brad Yates has released and uploaded a new video on his channel, which is called, so let me mute it and wait for it to load. It's called Treat Yourself Better. Guys, if that's not a sign, what is? So I'll even drop that in comments because I think we totally all just manifested that. There you go. I'm going to drop that link. He literally just uploaded it. No, we're not best buddies. No, I didn't know he was doing that, but that is called Treat Yourself Better. Honor your decisions that you make, good or bad. Honor every choice you make. And yeah, just keep showing up. And remember that snowball is the most powerful thing of all, because when you take those micro actions of saying yes to doing that tapping video instead of delaying it, or when you honor your decision and choose to sit in self-love instead of beating yourself up for not having live streamed that day or doing the thing that you said you could do. Like, do affirmations, acknowledge that was the best for you at that time and let the rest go, because that is so important. And every time you can take one of those micro actions and just build routine and habit, you'll show up more and more consistently, and then you get to step away from needing that routine and habit, because you've literally reset those neurological pathways and rebuilt it. And it's just so true, you know, having a child with, obviously, technically he has a form of brain damage because he has 300 extra genes banging around, how the neurological wiring works and all that sort of thing. And exercise is very important to help with that. But at the same time, every time you reinforce that neurological pathway and that pattern, it gets easier and easier and easier to do. So when you see that beautiful sunset, instead of going, oh, that's lovely, and then driving around the corner, you actually think of pulling over and picking your phone up, because you're already starting to form that post about documenting instead of seeing it as a challenge to create it, which I think is the most important thing of all. Write them down, Tracy. So Tracy's just said her micro actions are really, really negative as she looks at them. Write them all down, every micro action you can think of, and then change that habit. So go and write down your cue, your habit, and your reward. Don't change the cue. Look at what you can do about the reward. Keep it there and change the actual habit, because it's the easiest way to do it. I hope you guys enjoyed that webinar. I would love any feedback that you have. Feel free to message it through to me. I'm going to send you an anonymous link so you can leave whatever feedback you like without reprisal. I just want to know that what I've covered has been delivered in a way that is suitable for you and you felt like it wasn't too overwhelming. I know that I talk a lot. I'm very aware of that. So yeah, I'll drop you that link in the Eventbrite event. Just let me know if you feel like I could have gone into more details on something, or there was stuff that was really distracting, concepts that you didn't feel were very relevant to what you do. Please do let me know on that private link, which is anonymous. And you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for showing up. Layla, you're amazing. Oh, always enjoy watching your content. Thanks, Kat. Thank you, Layla. Michaela, Kat, you're fantastic. Thank you so much. You've opened up a micro blocker that's been a big blocker. Yay, that's amazing. That's so good to hear. It's been great. Thank you very much. You guys are super welcome. I'm actually going to leave this recording up until tomorrow morning. Obviously, please don't share the link because it's private. It's just to make sure. I know that there were a couple of people who had to run off and couldn't come back tonight, so that'll give them a chance. I know that I said no replays. I'm just going to leave this up until tomorrow morning before I turn it on to secret. So thanks, guys, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.